Your new Miss Kentucky is Ariana Rodriguez-Martin!
The Miss America organization is very service-driven, and it really encourages young people to use their voices to advocate for the issues that they care most about. I hope to use my platforms to amplify the voices of youth who have experienced the foster care system and educate the public about the issues that they face. My focus had always been on starting the Lucky Ones Foundation. Before I even created a name for it, I knew that that was my life's goal, to help youth who have experienced things similar to my experiences. You know, a lot of people think that Miss Kentucky is this perfect girl who doesn't have any problems and has her life together, and that's just not true. For me or for any Miss Kentucky, we're just people at the end of the day. We are at the earliest home that I remember when I was in kinship care with my grandma and grandpa. Kinship care is like foster care, but it's when you're placed with someone who is in some kind of relation to you. So it can be a family friend or a relative. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. It looks so much better now. I love singing. I started when I was like 4 years old. I used to make my brother and sister watch me. I'd get up on top of the kitchen table when we lived with my grandma and I'd give performances. I wanted to be a pop star. That was the dream. I didn't stay in kinship care for very long. I ended up going into foster care because my providers just simply couldn't afford to take care of us. This is crazy. My mother was born in Russell Springs, Kentucky. She had a very difficult life. She was homeless at 16 years old, much like me, so this is a very systemic issue. My mom eventually turned to drugs. The goal of Child Protective Services is to always get you back with your biological parent, no matter what that looks like. So when we were placed back with her, when she did get clean, she was homeless herself. And that's when we moved into the abandoned house in Muldraw. This is the house that I lived after I was reunified with my mom after being in foster care. I remember walking down there and waiting for the bus stop because I was so embarrassed for people on the bus to see that I lived here. This is like where we would put the buckets typically when we needed water because we didn't have running water. We would heat the water up to like purify it and then drink it, or we used to just dump it on each other. That was our bath. You know, slept in the living room, all three of us. We could only afford one mattress, so we were all piled up on this like little queen full-size mattress, and we cooked in the kitchen. I mean, just like your average family, I guess, except we didn't have heat or water or air conditioning or electricity. So my mom was working in like 12-hour shifts, and she still couldn't afford to find us a place with 3 kids. We moved in with one of her friends that lived in Nelson County, and so we stayed there for 2 years after this. The problem wasn't ever that my mom or my grandma didn't care about us. It was that they couldn't financially support us. A couple of my teachers knew that I didn't have the best home circumstances, but they didn't know the full extent of it. I wanted to keep that away from the people at school because I didn't want my brother and sister going back into foster care. They said that they wanted to live with my mom, and although it was not the best place for me, like they were safe there, they were fine, I couldn't stay there. While I was living out of my car my junior year of high school, and I would park right over here under this light at the Nelson County Fairgrounds. And it always had the most beautiful sunsets, and I remember just looking up and thinking one day I'm gonna come back and the sunset won't be like the best thing in my life. While I was living out of my car and with friends, I realized that I had a passion for learning and that I wanted to go to college, but I had no idea how I was going to afford it. I left foster care 26 days too early to receive any financial aid from being in foster care. And so I looked up talent competitions, and that's when I found the Miss America organization. I didn't know it was a pageant. I thought it was a talent competition. So I went in there having no idea what I was doing. I didn't have clothes that fit me. I didn't have a track for my talent. I just got up there, I sang, I wore clothes that were 2 sizes too big. I put all of my college savings into competing, and I lost. I was crying in a hallway. I put everything into this pageant and I walked away with nothing. A director came up to me and she said, "If you want to go to Miss Kentucky, we'll get you there." She put a post on Facebook asking people for donations to help support my journey into the Miss Kentucky Scholarship Organization. She got so many donations that it completely funded the past 3 years of me competing, and I've made over $30,000 of scholarships. Transitioning from home to home my entire life was extremely difficult. You're moved from everything you've ever known and placed with a complete stranger. You're given a trash bag instead of a suitcase. It's a very dehumanizing experience. I knew that all of this had to have some meaning behind it. I knew that I didn't go through what I went through for nothing. You know, that something good had to come out of it. And if I wouldn't have had people who did look at it from an empathetic view and did say, you know, maybe she just needs help, my life would have looked incredibly different. I was a 16-year-old girl living out of her car, but in a sense I was one of the lucky ones because many children that I have met and many children that I've mentored have it much worse than I did. And that shouldn't be the case. I don't know why this is my life and that is someone else's. You know, I don't know why I've been given these opportunities and other people are struggling just to get by. I've never understood that. And that's one of the reasons why I called my nonprofit the Lucky Ones Foundation. Our Suitcase Initiative provides suitcases filled with tangible items that youth in foster care need when they transition from home to home. The Lucky Ones podcast allow youth in foster care to tell their own story. If you really look deeply at the situation, you'll understand that these kids are just trying to get by and that they're doing the best that they can with what they have. Winning Miss Kentucky not only changed my life, but it changed everyone in my family's life. But specifically my mom, I think, was really inspired by the fact that I won because she went through a lot of similar situations. And up until the day that I won, I think that she thought that, you know, she couldn't achieve what she wanted to achieve because of her circumstances and because of her past. It doesn't matter what happened in your past. It doesn't matter how old you are, what other people think you're capable of. You have the power to control your future and your destiny. My mom has been sober for years now, and I'm just so proud of her and her journey and how far she's come as well. Growing up in kinship and foster care, it's safe to say that I didn't always have the support that many other people around me had. And so stepping into the role of Miss Kentucky has been very different in many ways, but it has been exceptional to step into a role where so many people are constantly supporting you and looking out for you, and I'm just so thankful to be your Miss Kentucky.